Welcome to another edition, another episode of Keeping It Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Evan of 200columns.com, joined as always by Urbana's finest, Kevin Ducey. What's happening, brother?
Man, we'll leave that title for Eric Shannon. What up, E-Dog? Little shout-outs.
Yeah. Oh, man. See, and Eric Shannon's a guy that, maybe I'm going to have to get to know. I've actually met one of your good friends, Bob.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we went to the Northwestern game together, so shout out, Bob, if you ever watch this.
Bob is an anti-Underwood guy, so he is like throwing barbs at me left and right now, and he's trying to get me mad. So,
Bob, Bob, come on, Bob. It's hot, Bob. That's a commercial here in Central Illinois. It's hot, Bob. But so, anywho, thanks again for everybody tuning in on our YouTube channel. Keeping It Orange and Blue. The subscribers are going up. We appreciate you there if you're a YouTuber. We appreciate everybody on Spotify who listens. We appreciate everybody who gets on, who retweets this on Twitter. There's several avenues to watch and listen, so we appreciate you. So tonight, though, a lot's going on. Obviously, if you see the title, who joins Domask and Harmon. Obviously, this has been a really busy last couple of days, Kevin, in Illini basketball. It's fun times.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say, when I first heard about Domask, I mean, my levels of enthusiasm for him were not, I'll just be frank, were not very high. But as I watch videos, I watch tape on the guy, I'm like, man, the dude can play. I mean, by Keepin or one of those rating services, and don't quote me on this, but one of the rating services, he was the second best player in the Missouri Valley last year. I mean, like almost 16 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Guy shoots 50% on catch and shoot, open spot up threes, which Illinois had so many of those this year. Like, if you look at Illinois' shot quality, the shot quality metrics that shot quality does on Twitter, which is really impressive. And what shot quality is talking about is they're looking for open 3-pointers and layups. Teams that shoot a majority of those shots win ball games. Illinois lost so many games this year where they should have won by the shot quality metrics because we had guys who can shoot threes, just couldn't this year. Right? I still believe RJ can shoot, and I'll be an RJ apologist forever. Epps went through a stretch where he couldn't make. Sky Clark.
He's still waiting to get on that heater, Kevin. He's still waiting.
Right. Shannon had TJ was like up and down. Coleman was one hot game and 6 cold ones. So you didn't have a Luke Goody. So this guy, Domask, is going to really bring in that steady, and like he's going to hit those shots. Plus, he's got a ton of range. He made 10 threes this year from over 25 feet. Really excited about that. And I think he's a guy that's going to come in and know his role. Everybody's like, oh, we need our Andrew Funk. Well, like that can be – he's better than Andrew Funk. He's got a little Sam Griesel in his game. And then we also add Harmon, Harmon had over 80 points in 4 games in the NIT, dropped 32 on a good New Mexico team. He can shoot well from 3. He's about 40% on catch and shoot threes, but he can also drive and get to the bucket. But here's the best thing about Harmon. He is a flat-out dog on defense. He fights through screens like Trent Frazier, like Sincere Harris, but he's 6'4", 200 pounds, and he's a pretty darn good athlete. So what I think you're seeing role spots that Underwood and the staff are bringing in to fill here. These aren't the Terrence Shannon and Matt Meyer signings in the portal. We've got to understand that. We're not there yet. There are pieces still to come. Mm-hmm. These are fill-ins. And now, granted, like Terrence Shannon says he's going pro. Coleman Hawkins says he's going pro. You kind of got to hope that both those guys come back. Because if both those guys do come back, what you have a really solid team here. You just got a couple of pieces you've got to fill in. If they go pro, you're going to have you can still rely on these guys to score. Both these guys, I think, could be double-digit scorers in the Big Ten, but you wouldn't want to have to rely on one of them to be your leading scorer. So,
I mean, in that case, then they'll just find a couple more guards in the portal. They'll be there. So other guys are going to be coming out. Let's say Shannon and Coleman both go pro. Then they're going to say, wow, major opening at Illinois. That's where I'm going. And all that money that was allotted to guys like Shannon and Hawkins will be freed up, which means there'll be more money for other guys who drop out of the combines and come back in May that could come and play for Illinois. So yeah. I'm not so worried about that. per se. But I'm going to start out with this. I just want a lot of fans to know too that Terrence Shannon, between Shannon and Hawkins, they're both projected, upper 40s to mid 50s and all these. The chances of both of them staying in the draft is very, very low. And I just want fans to know this, is that they have $800,000 to $1.2 million in NIL money waiting for them if they come back to Illinois. And I want to look in the camera directly because that's not made up. That's what it is. The guys have money, guaranteed money waiting for them at Illinois. Both of them are not going to get guaranteed deals of over that. So if we just want to speak matter of factly, and I like to always shoot straight, that's what's keeping it orange and blue. I would put my Swami name, the Swami. I'll drop a Illini Swami if both Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon stay in that draft because it is not happening. Okay.
I don't think so either because and I think that both of them feel like there's some unfinished business, and we'll get into a little bit about what both of them have done. Terrence Shannon is proactively recruiting for Illinois in the portal. We'll get in a little bit more about what that means later. Coleman has been very active in talking about the things that Brad has done, and you see he tweeted at somebody recently, a guy who went in the portal. It's just, there's things that they're doing that tell you, that make you lean to say that they're definitely, if they don't go pro, they're coming back to Illinois. So that's in this crazy portal world.
Yeah.
Shannon can't really go anywhere else, but
and I want to tell you, I would be perfectly happy, and I would be for those guys if they both get guaranteed NBA deals of between $1 to $3 million. Good for you, happy for you. I'm just speaking realistically with both of them being, mid to late second round projections. The chances of them both staying are just not good. And if I was a betting man, Kevin, and I know you are, that's why I'm taking one of the two. I would literally put whatever money I could down that one of the two comes back. So
I think both come back, and I don't think either one has an aversion to school. I don't think either one has an aversion to work. I think they both want to go vet what their lifelong dream is, to play in the NBA, to get paid to play basketball, to on a professional stage. It's kind of funny they both been getting paid.
Look at Duke and Kyle Filipowski. You know what I mean? Like,
and here's the other thing people got to take into consideration is the 24 draft is looking to be one of the worst draft classes in a decade. And so if Terrence Shannon and Coleman Hawkins just sat out a season and got drafted next year, they're probably moving up 5 to 10 spots. They both have things in their game they can work on, and Terrence put in the work. Coleman is not afraid of the work. If you surround them with guys who can catch and shoot and make threes, that opens up driving lanes, which they are both typically quicker than the positions that guard them. If you could find a point guard facilitator, it will work on their strengths. They'll be able to use their strengths more in their basketball game. And I think that both those guys are willing to put in the work. Both those guys, when they're forced into point guard roles, it's shown a little bit that's not really their forte, and because both of them had to run point a little bit during the season.
Yeah.
And now you put two guys on the outside who can knock down shots. You've added a really good defender in Harmon. You've added a really good passer in Domask. Domask is a phenomenal passer who sees the floor really well. Domask is like what we would expect a fifth-year Luke Goody to look like, really.
Yeah.
So you're just fast forwarding that a little bit. And so when you start to surround these guys with it, opens driving lanes and it lets them do the things that they're best at. And instead of saying, hey, listen, Terrence at times was our best. If we had a guy that we had to guard that was, over 6 foot tall, our best perimeter defender was Terrence Shannon. Now you could be like, all right, Harmon, and Terrence maybe could take a blow and he could go and settle in and knock down some jumpers. I just think that there's a lot of roster construction that's being built for those guys. And I do think both of them will come back. I think they both have things they got to work on. I don't think Terrence's handle's good enough. I don't think his shot's good enough. I don't think Coleman's shot's consistent enough. And I think he needs to get back in the weight room. So I would project both of them back.
I will say this. So I've made that clear. I think both do come back, but I just want fans to know who are worried that those guys just hit the draft. That means they're gone. Well, I've been told that both have NCAA approved agents, so they don't have agents that are going to disqualify them from so they are going to just eliminate them from coming back. So they're doing everything right. There's nothing wrong with them testing the waters, and it's good for them so they can hear back from the pros what you guys think I need to work on. It's not just what fans think they need to work on or what Coach Underwood wishes they would be better at. You know what I mean? So this is putting your best foot forward. And, when you look at the wording of these things, especially with Shannon, didn't mention maintaining eligibility. I think it's smart because that's a business way of saying, like, I'm all in on I want to be a pro, and I want to do everything I can to be a pro. I know I've got money waiting for me at Illinois if I go back. That's great. And you know what? And finishing up, maybe getting a master's degree or whatever he wants to do. But so I'm not worried about it. Kev's not worried about it. I think this roster is going to be – this could be a late May situation because, guys have till May 31st to drop out. So I want fans to be patient as well about the situation. Just remember last year, Illinois didn't get Matthew Meyer till what was it, May 29th, Kevin?
Yeah, and Shannon was the very end of April. So, yeah.
Yeah, so from now, you're at least waiting 2-3 more weeks probably for at least one of the guys. Maybe Hawkins will come back before then. But I think for sure both of them by the end of May, you're going to be looking at that. So
there's contingency factors with these guys when they come back from other players in the portal because Illinois becomes a much more attractive team to come play with on one hand if they come back. On the other hand, if they don't, there's more NIL money.
Yes. I hope we're trying to cover this there's a lot of fans that they don't delve into this, and that's kind of why I'm trying to break it down because I've had a lot of people, especially on the YouTube people that watch, these are guys that may not have Twitter and they don't delve into all of it. So I hope we've explained that to you guys. The whole NIL thing is just guaranteed money. Like I mentioned, Kyle Filipowski, who was going to be a lottery pick.
Oh, absolutely. Top 20 bare minimum.
So think about this. A guy just turned down $3 to $5 million to come back and play at Duke. Why do you think that is? Because he's got millions of dollars waiting for him to come back and play at Duke, and he loves college. He's not afraid to get in the books. He's a smart dude, and he wants to come back and probably help Duke win a title if he can. So the NIL thing has been such a game changer for basketball, college basketball fans, for coaches, for players. The whole system is just different now. But I want to get to Domask and Harmon from my perspective. So Domask, to me, Harmon and Domask, they have that gritty toughness, that savviness that Brad's Stephen F. Austin teams had, Kevin. And Brad mentioned it yesterday at the Coaches versus Cancer, how Domask reminds him a lot of Thomas Walkup, who's a matchup problem, who was a high IQ guy, who shot it well, who was a sneaky, quick dude who could get by his defender, who was shooting near 90% from the free throw line. Let's not underestimate that now, because that needs to be discussed. At the end of the game, do you want a guy like him at the line where
100%? Yeah.
If he gets fouled 10 times, he's making 9 of them. So, I mean, that's like a priceless thing right there. So, and then not only that, but when you're leading your team, who, by the way, Southern Illinois was a good team this year. They didn't win the Missouri Valley, but they went on the road and beat Oklahoma State, which, by the way, Domask hit the game-winning 3 at the end. He's clutch. I actually watched his highlights. It's a 4-year starter at Southern Illinois. He has over 1,600 points. You know how many
all NBC, first team of freshmen so he's been an all-conference performer all 4 years.
So every year too, he's had at least 1 to 2 game-winning buzzer beaters every year.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so if you go back and just watch if you guys have fun on YouTube, just watch Domask highlights and just hit Domask buzzer beaters. Not even since high school up in Wisconsin but his freshman, his sophomore year, he hit a couple buzzer beaters down there in the Saluki Dome. He hit one on the road, a big one against Drake. I mean, he's clutch. He helped Southern Illinois go down and beat Travis Ford's SLU Billikens team on the road when he was a freshman. He's a tough kid, and I'm glad he's on Illinois. And he's a guy that Brad's going to trust, who's going to make everybody else better. He's unselfish. He gets on the floor for loose balls. Uh, so everybody that I've talked to and that who knows the Saluki program raves about him. He's an all-time Saluki. That's what guys have said.
Absolutely, yeah.
So love it. And even if he does start a little bit, I'm not worried about it. Even if he has to start a few games, I'm not worried about it. He's a winner.
He's 6'6", 220 pounds, can shoot the three. I mean, like he can do a lot of things for you. So he is not a player. He is a player that could come in and fully assert himself. Like Joey Hauser's no better than this guy. I mean,
no.
I'm perfectly fine with this.
I mean, when you said that stat about the 50% on open shots, you know how many open shots guys get? A lot. And you know what? 50%, I think it's in the upper 90-something percentile? Or
100%, yeah.
It's like that can't be understated. You know how many open threes in a game teams have and they just don't make? I mean, if he's shooting over 50%, that means something. So
it's like so RJ shot like 28% from the season. I mean, guys, ask yourself, you watch the basketball games, we're talking to the audience here, how many of those shots did you go, oh, don't take that because he had a hand in his face? I mean, think about all the threes this team took. I don't remember Jaden Epps ever taking a shot where I was like, oh no, don't shoot that because you had a hand in his face. I mean, Terrence occasionally, Matt Meyer, absolutely, but he made a lot of those.
Yeah.
But we everybody on the team, with the exception of Matt Meyer and Terrence Shannon, took contested threes with hands in their faces at multiple times during the season. Everybody else took open shots, and go look at what their numbers were. And that's what we're saying. We're bringing in guys who are 50 and 40%. The team shot collectively at 30% as a team. So you just moved it. Illinois shoots 35% as a team. They're a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. I mean, literally. I mean, it changes the whole dynamic and complex of this team. And so that's where Brad is changing how the roster construction works.
And I love the Harmon pickup. You know, I know there were some guys that I really, really respect. One that I know you are pretty close with. They weren't Harmon fans. No. They didn't think it was a good fit. But guess who thought he was a good fit? Brad Underwood.
Yeah.
And if Brad Underwood thought he was a good fit, there's a reason, because we needed, and I say we because anyone who's a part of the team and the fan, the program, we are together, but we're not on the team. So I know I'm going to get someone saying something about it. But
100%, yeah.
Yeah, there's always someone that says that we're not on the team. But the Harmon situation, you mentioned it. Tough, gritty, good defender. He's a sneaky good athlete. Oh my goodness. Like, he can makes it look easy. Yeah, he's got a crazy good handle. He's had some ankle breakers. Go watch some of those highlights. I mean, he made Cincinnati's, I think it was DeJulius, the former Michigan guy, but broke his ankle there in the NIT quarterfinals. But here's the most important part of those two guys before we transition into the portal names, because I know that's why a lot of people are tuning in tonight. They're fifth-year guys. Fifth-year guys. Guess where Illinois was really hurting last year?
It was the youngest team in America.
The
youngest team in Power 5.
Youth handling the ball. Yeah. Youth handling the ball was the biggest problem. Sky Clark, before he left, who'd that transition into? Jaden Epps. Who'd that transition to? Sincere Harris. And then, yes, we had Hawkins and Shannon had to take care of it. But 3/4 of the season, we had freshmen handling the ball. So that is no longer going to be the case. Obviously, Harris is going to be a sophomore. But you got a fifth-year Domask, you got a fifth-year Harmon, and there will be more additions in the portal. We're going to get to that. So, Kevin, we'll start in the front court, and I'll get to the backcourt. In the front court, you're hearing a lot of interesting things, and I've heard a lot of similar. But, heck, that's what I love about the show, is because not everything you hear I've heard, and vice versa. And you do have a lot of well-connected people in your life. It's not just on the pay sites. You actually talk to people too. So what have you heard about the situation with the front court? Because obviously Brad yesterday mentioned that as well. Got to have a rim protector, need a big guy. Got to have someone else besides Dane Danger in the paint. What are you kind of hearing where they have some prospects that, 2 or 3 guys that fans should kind of look out for?
Yeah, it's gonna be. There's a name that's out there and it's shocking to folks, and just pay attention to. You can do your own research on it, but Terrence Shannon Jr. and Hunter Dickinson are pretty close. They're pretty tight. Hunter hosted Terrence on his visit to Michigan. If you remember last year this time, Terrence was initially going to be Illinois'. There was some issues from Illinois' admissions program, as Illinois doesn't allow juniors to transfer in. And then he started looking at Michigan, still close to home in Chicago. Michigan was the same way. Whitman was able to actually pull some strings, and Illinois was allow him in, which made a ton of sense. And Terrence is a fantastic student. I mean, he's a model citizen. He like everything about it. But Hunter was really working Terrence to come to Michigan, and now obviously Dickinson's in the portal. And Illinois, here's the thing that a lot of people got to understand: Illinois has a boatload of NIL dollars. Illinois is one of the largest alumni associations in the country. Illinois has a ton of affluent alumni that want to pump money in and see this happen. So Hunter Dickinson is one. Justin Edwards from Syracuse, we saw him play. The guy averaged like 15 points, 10 rebounds, a couple blocks a game. Really athletic, long center, but doesn't stretch the floor like Dickinson. He's at West Virginia this week on a visit, but I do think like Illinois has not been mentioned in any of the Twitterverse there, but I do think Illinois will get involved there. The problem with Hunter is that listen, if you're Illinois and Justin Edwards says, yeah, I want to come, you kind of just got to take that, right? I don't think you can wait for Terrence to decide what he's going to do to bring Hunter with him unless you've got some kind of like back channel guarantee. Supposedly, Sanogo might want to look at some other opportunities. Klingen's coming back to UConn. He doesn't really want to split minutes. Sanogo's a really interesting case is that he played with Kofi, and he's got people in the network with Kofi that Illinois has already connections with. So that's an opportunity there.
And for him, explain to some people who will say he just won the national title though, and he was like one of their best players. Why would he want to leave a team that's going to be loaded again? I don't understand.
Well, Klingen's their 7'2" center, the freshman who was really good and a great rim protector there. But once again, it's an NIL opportunity. Like there's money involved here, and Illinois' got a ton of it. Illinois' got probably more than UConn's got to throw at this opportunity here. And I think Sanogo probably wants to be more of a feature guy. And Klingen's going to play. The dude's 7'2". He's a great rim protector. And Sanogo's not really a stretch four. He can play. He can knock down some threes. He just shot about 35% from three this year. Took a couple of games, much like Dickinson. And then the one other name that hasn't entered the portal yet, but Illinois has connections with him going back to his high school recruitment, is Ryan Kalkbrenner. And then there's still rumors about Timmy, but I don't think there's anything substantive about that. So there's backups. Then there's like Plan B and Plan C guys.
My one name I've got for that I think there is it's Musa Cisse from Oklahoma State, who was a starter there at Oklahoma State for a couple years. And while it's offensively he's not sexy, defensively and on the blocking shots, yes, he's amazing. A Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year type guy on blocking shots. He's a really good rim protector, obviously, long arms. He's athletic. He runs the floor well, and he's a good rebounder. So,
there's trickle effects that happen here, right? Like so I think everybody just needs to be patient and let it play out. But for instance, if Dickinson goes to Maryland, let's say, what's Julian Reese do? Julian Reese supposedly has some connections to Kansas. Does he go to Kansas? Well, if that's the case, KJ Adams wants to start and play. What's KJ Adams do? Like, there's just all these these trickle down multiple effects that are going to happen here. That I think everybody's just be patient and just understand something. Illinois is in a really good spot. They've got a lot of money and they know how to use the NIL, and it's something that this university and athletic department embraced way quicker than some of our other. Our competition within the Big Ten, specifically talking about you, Purdue, talking about you, Michigan State. Like we've done.
How about Iowa and the Swarm Initiative? Yeah, oh my goodness!
Yeah, we've done a lot better job than these other schools, and we're taking advantage of it. And I know, hey, listen, like Brian, you and I both have a little bit more insight, a little bit more insider information on the other side of the street. What's up, big dog?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. When you say a little bit more insight on the other side of the street, what are you referring to?
Football. We know more.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
And I know some people are like, well, why is NIL and not like, why are we not hammering the transfer portal in football, and why is it not such a big deal there? And I'm like, because one guy can make a whole lot bigger difference when you've got 12 total players than 85.
Well, and I want to make this clear too. Do they think that Newton and Randolph just came back for?
Yeah, that's very true. Or Luke, just like the smell of South
Yeah, I was about to say, like, how do people think we got Newton and Randolph to come back? I mean, NIL, the dollars, those guys. Newton, I can tell you this: Newton, while he was underappreciated, was easily a fifth round draft pick, at the least. Okay, at least, and I know that for a fact. He got, before he actually came back to Illinois, he had talked to several scouts and got people that were like, where's your draft grade? You know, because guys like Chase Brown were told third, fourth round, maybe fifth. Newton, if he had heard between first and third, he was going to leave regardless, but he didn't hear that. Yeah, but he didn't hear that. So I think it motivated him too. But for people to think that he couldn't be in the pro, getting drafted here soon, he would be. So Illinois was like, let's make it worth your while. You know, we've got a good NIL thing. Come back, get some more respect. You can be a first, third round pick with a really big year, which I'm expecting. And you think about that too with Randolph, who was a seventh round, maybe late sixth, seventh round, I think is what he was told, to undrafted, but who's obviously going to be an all Big Ten lineman again, his stock's going to do nothing but come up. So I think for people to think, well, why didn't Illinois do better in the transfer portal football? You got to remember to keep possibly the best front line in the Big Ten defensively. And I think, Kevin, you kind of agree there.
Yeah, it was like the year before last. What's Illinois' best recruiting win the year before last was Keepin Kofi. Right?
Yeah.
The best recruiting win the year before that was Keepin IO. So it's, yes. Everybody looks at NIL from a recruiting standpoint. It's as equally important, if not more important, from a retention standpoint.
Very good. And like that, to me, you know, there's so many layers to it. But let's not forget, in the next 2 weeks, and I plan on having the scoop and the break, Illinois, I think, is going to be getting Mr. D'Angelo Trill Carter from Minnesota. So let's be honest. Would that not be a big portal addition? Okay. So
it would be huge.
I mean, goodness. I mean, that for sure would solidify Illinois, to me, as the best defensive line in the Big Ten. I mean, it's just because it's just salivating that all the pass rushers they got, all the athletes. It's wild, man, to think about. To me, I think it's going to be better than that defensive line that Illinois had in the Rose Bowl year. Yeah. And it's crazy with all those athletes they had then with, you know, Martez Wilson, and you had all those other, I think Spence wasn't there yet, but they had legit, I think may have been a freshman. I don't know. But those guys, like, there was so much NFL talent on it. I think this team is at least that good. So defensive line wise, at least. So big things going. And I plan to have that scoop. He wanted to kind of keep his other visit. I think he had one more visit to take. He wanted to keep it on the down low. I haven't heard anything on the Twitterverse about it, but as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I wrote it last week and I put it on 200 columns. I put he told me that by the end of the month he planned on announcing his decision. So we got about 2 more weeks. So anyway,
what about the backcourt? Obviously, a point guard still needed here.
Yes. Let's get back to basketball for a little bit. So for the backcourt, obviously need a point guard. Brad mentioned that as well yesterday in his Coaches versus Cancer interview, and I think we all could see why. So there's a name, and we mentioned it last week, that of just guys that we could see who, if they ever hit the portal, and who we would like. And I think that Ray J. Dennis from Toledo, who is staying, it sounds like, in college. He just has not announced it yet, but it sounds like he's wanting to hit that, because he did not go. And why do you say that? Why would I say that? Well, he could have went to the Portsmouth Invitational, but he chose not to. Okay, and while you can go to the Portsmouth Invitational, and keep your eligibility, it's not the easiest process to deal with and navigate.
So 3-game suspension is a minimum, correct? Right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So something like that. Yeah, because Courtney Ramey did it last year, obviously, but he just doesn't want to deal with that. And a guy who's like, if you're dead set on going to be a pro and you have a chance to be invited to that, where you can help your draft status stock, maybe even get a draft combine invite if you play well. Why would a guy who's planning on wanting to be a pro and go play in the NBA next year turn that down?
Yeah, I mean, you look at a Tiger Campbell who's doing the same thing, and Tiger is rumored to have some Illinois connections. He's definitely got connections with Tim Anderson, but he's going to Portsmouth, and so there's thoughts that Tiger's either going to go to the NBA or possibly overseas. I do think that, like, I know Dennis. He's a Plainfield kid. Went to Oswego East, right?
Yeah, there's connections there too with Tim Anderson and stuff. So
yeah,
but
Tiger's more sexy. I think Ray J might be the better player for.
Yeah, definitely. Tiger has what you call definitely a better resume of like, what have you done in your college career, like as in successful winning wise. Toledo has been a very good program with Dennis there. They really haven't been able to get over that hump. You know, it's like they're the best team in the conference, but they always lose in the conference tournament.
Points.
Yeah, and like, dude's a stud. All you need to do is look up his highlights. He put it on
Michigan.
He put it on Michigan. He that Kent State team that won, who was really good, who, you know, gave Indiana a good game. I think he had 32 and 15 or something like that on them. He was actually a baller at Boise State before he went to Toledo, and had some big games at Boise State, and, you know, played the NCAA tournament there. But Toledo, the thing is, he wasn't happy in Boise. Toledo actually offered him out of high school at Oswego, and then when things really weren't going the way he liked, I think is because Leon Rice's son, you know, he wanted to be the focal point, and, you know, Leon Rice is going to go with his kid, who's a good player.
Pretty good player, yeah.
Yes, but I mean, Ray J. Dennis, obviously a very good player too. So it's like, how do you navigate my son and another guy? It's like your son. So he chose to leave, come a lot closer back to home than Boise, Idaho. So he gave Toledo his final couple years of, you know, besides the COVID year, and now he will be a grad transfer if he does hit the portal. So he will be able to play right away, because there's going to be people that say, why would Ray J. Dennis be able to play? He's already transferred, because he'll be a grad transfer. So he doesn't have to sit out for that. But yeah, all you got to do is look up his stats and everything, and he's legit. I believe shooting 38% from three, and that's just combined open threes with hand-in-your-face threes. You know, so 38%, a dude who's going to be near 40 from deep, who had 8 assists at Michigan in the NIT.
Fred Van Vliet.
Yeah, I think he's a better athlete too than Fred Van Vliet.
Maybe. I mean, but like that's the thing, though, when you think about Fred Van Vliet and the guy who's made a career in the NBAs.
Yeah.
The thing holding him back is Fred Van Vliet wasn't a very good athlete. Ray J's not going to knock you off your socks with like super quickness. He's a really heady ball player.
No, but the moves, man. I saw him put Buffkin in just
blender.
Like there was I'll go back and watch the game again, and I remember it like it was a post spin move where Buffkin
like Curbelo used to do the guys.
Yeah, it was like he's like, oh, I got him. I got 5 inches on him. I got longer arms. Mm-hmm. Dude blew by him so quick, hit him with that spin, up and under reverse layup. I was like, that's before any of this was going on with the portal of like, who could Illinois get? I watched that and I was like, man, that guy's nice.
48 consecutive double-digit scoring games. 48.
And one thing I need to mention that we have it, the MAC Player of the Year, by the way. So not just a good player from Toledo. He was the best player in the MAC that had a lot of very good players. So you're getting a quality guy there. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Tiger Campbell from the social medias, you know, there's a lot of people connecting, Illinois with them possibly if he were to hit the portal, you know. So there's just a lot of things out there with possibilities that, you know, and here's another thing. Here's another question I would get, Kev, and I've had it. I get tons of people asking me, well, why haven't some of these guys hit the portal yet if they're not coming back, if they're coming back? Well, because technically they don't really have to right now.
We're negotiating, man.
Yeah, like they don't have to. And I want people to understand that. We want them on our timeline, right? But they don't live by our timeline.
Oh.
You know, it's their life, it's their money, it's their pathway. They're going to be the one having to come to the university to go to school to get enrolled, to make sure that it's the right fit for them. So that's why they haven't hit the portal yet. Just be patient. They do have deadlines for all these things. I'm not sure when that is. I think it's late April, is it, for the portal? They have to be into the portal. I think it's April 29th, maybe?
I think that's accurate. Yeah, that sounds right.
So they have to be into – so Ray J. Dennis is going to have to be in that portal in the next 14 days. So just be patient. It could be before that. But if he is going to do that, you'll know in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So
yeah, absolutely. And so you got to let this play out. You got to realize that Illinois is in a good spot. Illinois got a lot of money. Illinois got a lot of sway here. And here's another thing to look at. It hasn't fully reared its head yet, but on Illini board, Robert from Illini on Twitter wrote up a really good thing about where the conferences are and where the Big Ten is going to be from a TV rights standpoint. The Big Ten is going to dominate your Saturdays in basketball and in football, and it's going to be pretty impressive that what's going forward, and it's going to actually help the basketball team as well.
And when you say that, go ahead. I'll let you elaborate a little bit more. You're talking about with the television deals and market.
Yeah, 100%. And I saw this pop up. Wyatt popped in. Hey, Wyatt, the reason why is because Dennis would be a grad transfer. So you get the one free transfer, and then obviously the grad transfer is a little bit different. So that's the reason why he would be eligible immediately, wouldn't need a waiver.
And I tried to elaborate on that, but he probably didn't hear it all the way. So that's okay.
It's confusing. It's the NCAA. It doesn't make sense. The one thing the NCAA is doing well, in my opinion, on this one is they're turning down waivers. They're not granting waivers to guys who are wanting to hop in willy-nilly. Even coaching changes aren't going to get granted there. So,
yeah, because let's say Bryce Hopkins, there was a big debate.
Yeah, Bryce Hopkins would probably be in the lineup right now if he could.
Yeah, so if he could have just got the waiver because his coach left. Yeah, I think there's a good chance that Hopkins would have.
Same with Brandon Murray. Brandon Murray's going to have to sit out a year, leaving Georgetown. So, and I think that's a smart thing to do. You get one free transfer, use it at your leisure, but you also can transfer as a grad transfer.
Unless you're a grad transfer, then you get a second
academic.
Yeah, then you get a second free transfer
because you get to transfer into a program that your school doesn't offer for a grad school. And Lord knows Illinois got a boatload of programs that Toledo's not offering in grad school.
Yeah, so it just works out. It's pretty neat, those little loopholes. But I think Illinois could use it to their advantage this time. And again, for all you folk who don't, go look up Ray J. Dennis on YouTube. Let us know in the comments of the show on YouTube. I've loved everybody who I've had some critique, Kevin. Here's some fun comments from people I've seen. Ryan, you interrupt Kevin too much. You need to just stop doing that. And I was like, maybe I do. And then I go back and watch a little bit, and I'm like, I think I've been a lot better on that today. There was a guy named Thomas. I think it was Thomas Doliaz. He said, I love the show. Love the insight, guys. Keep it up. But Ryan, just quit interrupting. I'm like, okay. And then a couple guys love Kevin. Love the insight. I'm like, it's right. The deuce is loose.
It's my dad, dude. My dad's got all these handles. He just jumps in there. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I my feelings were hurt a little bit on the interrupting thing, but I was just like, okay, and I'm taking some constructive criticism.
Well, when we had the show in the past, David Thiessen used to say less Deuce, more Ryan, so that's
yeah. I think he's just a myth now. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he's disappeared from the social medias. I hope he's okay. I hope he's out there somewhere, and he's probably got a burner, and he's been watching from that. So, David, we wish you nothing but the best. And so I'll try to keep your candle burning, and more me, less Deuce. But again, leave your comments. What do you think of Ray J. Dennis? Watch some of his highlights and let us know. So now you have anything else with the hoops portal? Maybe anything else or the situation?
No, I just think I'm excited with I'm just excited with what the staff is doing on the portal. And no, Brad,
I saw Brad said afraid Illinois is going to strike out on the portal.
No, Illinois has been working some back channel deals with some of these guys. I mean, we're excited about Ray J. We don't know. We're excited about Tiger. We don't know. I do know that the people that I pay to get information from on the sites that Illinois has a point guard in hand that is going to be a very good player. And I mean, this pure speculation.
And there's no name, by the way, no name with that, by the way.
There's none. Yeah, we don't know who it is. So it's just one of those things like that's what we're hearing. And that's what Ryan and I are coming to conclusions. You can do conclusions by looking at guys where they're from and where their connections and knowing who follows who on Twitter, who's following who on Instagram, and all these weird kinds of
and I can say this, yes. So there is no proof of any wrongdoing from the program or the player, but things you can do, though. I like to do process of eliminations, and it doesn't work always, but I have found very good accuracy to when I find a lead, when I have a little crumb, I'm able to just go get it pretty good. That's kind of how I've made my name to a degree. And then, finally I've had coaches who have reached out, and then parents and players will talk to me and all the other stuff. But go look at some of the likes on Twitters and of some of the players we've mentioned tonight. I won't name them, but I've named a few names. Kevin's named a few names. Just go look at some of their likes, and some of them are very interesting. Because some of them are very isolated on a specific team. And you would think, why would a random guy where you can't see the connection just randomly like one team's commits?
Yeah, there's breadcrumbs, man. Follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, just follow the breadcrumbs. And but no name has been mentioned on any site of like who the player is that Illinois feels that they have locked in.
It's guesses from guys that can piece together the breadcrumbs, right? And understand that Tim Anderson. This is one of the things, man. Tim Anderson has a wonderful relationship with these young men. They really like him, And that was like people worried about Ty Rodgers leaving. I was like, Tim Anderson's still here. He ain't going nowhere. So and listen, the blue blood swooping in to get the portal point guard. Who's the blue blood that wants to come in and get him? UConn's now blue blood. We'll throw them in there. They got their starting point guard coming back. Duke Blue Devils are going to have Tyrese Proctor running their stuff. Kentucky's got the best recruiting class in the world coming in with a point guard and a two guard. Kansas has got what's his name coming back, Harris.
Yep.
I guess you're leaving out Carolina, but they got RJ Davis coming back. Like, there's no where's he gonna go? Like, where's the spot?
And I had people saying something to me like, "Hey, watch out! Michigan's gonna swoop in and get Ray J. Dennis if he hits the." I'm thinking this.
Well, how many guards are they gonna have?
Let's see. They got Namari Burnett, Caleb Love. You got McDaniel already back on the team.
Llewellyn.
Yeah. So you really think a guy like Ray J. Dennis is gonna leave and come back and spend his final year in college against a crowded backcourt?
Matter of fact, Hunter Dickinson's going to go to Indiana now.
Yeah, because they just got Khalil Ware. That makes sense, right?
Khalil Ware, Peyton Sparks, Malik Renew. You got to understand, there's certain fits that just don't make sense.
Yeah, it's the just because it's a blue blood doesn't mean anything. These guys are picking where they can showcase their talent and be the guy, make money, and also showcase what you can do. It's not just make money and sit on the bench for half the game. There's no way in heck Ray J. Dennis is going to go play at a crowded backcourt somewhere. It ain't going to happen.
And both of them got Midwest roots. Tiger Campbell.
Yeah.
Tiger Campbell played high school basketball with Jalen Coleman Lands and Jeremiah Tillman. Like, he went to La Lumiere. I watched him play on ESPN because I wanted to see JCL and Tillman play.
And by the way, Jalen Coleman Lands got that 7th year and finally won the Natty. So we're proud of him. His 7th year, Jalen Coleman Lands won the national title with Kansas last year.
Oh, that's right. He did, didn't he?
He had his 7th year, because he had one injured season, plus he had 2 sit-out transfer seasons, plus his 4 play seasons. So the man was 25 and won him a natty. And I remember when they recruited him back when I was 19. I remember when they recruited him. out of La Lumiere. You know, I'm in my 30s now, so it was.
Well, that was like Xavier Pinson was playing college basketball this year. I didn't know that till today. I started
just like Charlie Moore, though, dude. Charlie Moore was like, he's almost 30.
Yeah.
You know,
Xavier Pinson, I didn't know this, was at New Mexico State this year because I was looking at what happened to Matty Traore. It was a guy we were recruiting, and he ended up there.
And they had their season canceled because they had a bunch of murders going on. So
right, I'm like, good job, Xavier. Appreciate you, man.
He played his final year at New Mexico State where his season got canceled.
He averaged like 15 a game at Missouri one year, and then was really bad at LSU for a year. That was funny. So Simeon kid, I wish him better, but man, we should have. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, and it's okay. But so with that said, I think the vibe.
Let's put a bow on it tonight, Ryan. I know we talked a little bit about talking some football. I think we talked a little bit about NIL. We got the spring game Thursday. Let's just roll that in next week with more of the show about maybe some football. What do you think?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I just wanted to mention just quickly that how they had their second scrimmage and things look to be rolling pretty well. And there's a lot of fun things to be talking about for Illinois football spring wise, and that's not something we probably are used to. But yes, next week we'll hit that a little bit more. But I got to give I love to try to get football in when I can because it's just fun that when things are good, and it's definitely worth to talk to. And I know a lot of the people here are on because of hoops, and I know it's a basketball school, but anywho, yeah, we'll get back to it. Focus more of the show next week on the spring game coming up because I'll definitely be there, and I'm excited about that. So, but yeah, I will say the quarterback competition sounds like it's a lot more heated up than it's just Altmaier's job. I think Leary's really making a good push. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. And Brad, I haven't read up on that yet, but we'll look into that. I will say this: it's competency, it's direction, the organization, the program. They're being run like a professional, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited about it. However, we're 47 minutes in. I live in Oklahoma City. I am therefore by proxy an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. So I'm being selfish. I want to go watch their playoff game. NBA playing. Hey, but I want to make one plug. You plug football. I'm going to do this. You notice the hat I'm wearing tonight? It's a Titleist hat. Illinois. So it's an Illinois golf hat.
Yeah.
Why? Because the Illinois men's golf team went to Columbia, Missouri, and put a smacketh down on the entire field. They shot 68 under for the tournament. It's insane. They beat Missouri by 28 strokes. Missouri was second. They beat them by 28 strokes.
Mike Small is a wonderful coach. He's a great coach. The program's, I think, maybe the most consistent we've had, so.
And Jackson Buchanan ended up winning. He was 22 under. Adrian DeMond was second at 18 under. Pearson Hunt was fifth. I mean, hey, listen, we're ranked fourth in the nation now.
I think they have a chance to win the Natty this year. I know they've been in the semis and the finals and stuff in the last 10 years, but
they're always in the national championship, always there in the national finals, and then whether or not you get to the final 8 there, it's kind of unique.
Yeah.
And I've actually gotten to see. I saw him play at Oklahoma State, play in Oklahoma. Saw him play in Arkansas. Might be able to get a chance to see him if they come to Oklahoma this year. That'd be great. But you got to plug probably the most successful program in that school right now, and just give those guys their kudos. They're flowers, as the kids like to say.
And you know what? I just made that your final thought. Will that work?
Perfect.
All right. We want Kevin to be able to go watch his Oklahoma City Thunder. He's been a diehard Josh Giddey fan. Loves him. I'm a Shea Gilchrist Alexander guy, but
you just combine him with Michael Kidd Gilchrist.
Yeah, there we go.
Gilchrist Alexander.
Yeah, Shea Gilchrist Alexander. It doesn't. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. But the last thing I will say, my final thought is patience. As I always say, things are going to work out for this basketball team. There might even be something before next week's show. It's going to happen. Brad's not going to let the program just sink like the Titanic. Okay, it's going to be all right. So, and it's fun, man. Just keep your social medias active every day. Take a fun glance. Just don't listen to the troll accounts, please.
Amen, dude. Amen.
Don't listen to the troll accounts because golly. All right. That being said, I'm Swami. That's Deuce. Swami out.
ILL.
I and I.